Well, lots going on when it comes to the UK and the EU. So who better to speak to today than regular guest here on my channel and the chairman of Unlocked, Ben Habib. Ben, how are you, sir?
Very well indeed, thanks, Michael. How are you?
I'm good, and I just wanted to ask you, I mean, a lot going on. You've been very outspoken, of course, as a former MEP, former Brexit Party MEP alongside myself, in terms of what has been going on. And I wanted to ask you firstly, what you make of this unilateral action that Lord Frost has put forward. You move into unilaterally extend grace periods. The government announcing it's now seeking to ease trade barriers on parcels. Ben, what do you make of this?
Well, I think it's a welcome step that the government of the United Kingdom is taking unilateral action and protecting our interests to some extent. But sadly, I don't think extending the grace periods in themselves really takes the pressure off Northern Ireland. You know, we've had those grace periods in play since the 1st of January. And even with them in play, we haven't been able to get goods, pets, soil, and other things across to Northern Ireland. So, you know, the problem with the protocol, the Northern Ireland Protocol, goes well beyond the issues that the grace periods address. And the other thing I just want to mention, moving slightly ahead in the conversation, is that it's not just about trade. You know, what we haven't yet seen, Michael, is the pernicious effects of the fact that the EU still has huge sway over the laws of Northern Ireland, and it is the European Court of Justice that is the ultimate Supreme Court for Northern Ireland. And those and the adverse implications of that have yet to play out or be seen in public. What we've really only seen so far is the immediate adversity of that border down the Irish Sea. So yes, taking unilateral action on extending the grace periods is good because it shows some strength from the UK government, but we've got to go a lot further than just extending grace periods.
Before we dig a bit more into this, I'd just like to ask you, what do you make of Lord Frost taking this new role effectively as the Minister for Brexit Britain? Frosty the No Man, he's become known as on this channel. What and sort of murmurings from the EU that they're not really big fans of Frost, which I don't think is a bad thing at all from the British point of view. What do you make of Lord Frost in this role now?
It's a really interesting question. Since he was appointed to negotiate the deal, I've been trying to get my head around Lord Frost. You know, what is his position? He was very silent in the 2016 referendum. I think he wrote one article in the FT, which kind of indicated he had inklings of Remain in him. And, you know, which is obviously a bit of a red flag to people like you and me. But it seems to me, as you rightly point out, that the fact the EU loathe him, you know, means he's probably doing the right thing. And so I'm really hopeful that he is a proper citizen of the United Kingdom and standing up for the UK's position and socking it to them. That, you know, the impression that they've created of Lord Frost being a knight in shining armor for the United Kingdom, I hope that impression is accurate. I hope he really is there, brandishing his sword outside its scabbard and, you know, promoting British interests. Any Remainers watching this video now, absolutely in a tiz at this point.
But you know, you're someone who has called for the British government. We'll get on to what you think the government should do next. You explain that you think the British government and Boris Johnson need to get tougher. How significant do you think it is, Frost having just taken this role and then to see this unilateral action?
Yeah, I think that's significant. I think it's a step in the right direction. I think he's got to go a lot further. What the Prime Minister needs to do is bring back those provisions in the Internal Market Bill that he described last September as vital to protect the Union of the United Kingdom. If you recall, Michael, those were provisions that basically unpicked to a very significant extent the Irish border. He needs to bring that back. They dropped them last year for reasons which were never explained. They need to bring those provisions back in a new law, and they need to go further, and they need to neuter the protocol completely using domestic British law. I think it's quite evident, isn't it, that the EU is trying its best to make the lives of Northern Irish people extremely difficult. They're exercising their muscle and their strength against the United Kingdom using Northern Ireland. And I think we've got to stand up to that and we've got to push right back. So I think the Prime Minister should bring the IM bill back, and he should bolster it and basically neuter the protocol in it.
Yeah, I mean, Ben, you recently tweeted the EU is blockading Northern Ireland. There is no fixing the protocol. So again, what in your view then do you think the British government, Boris Johnson, need to do moving forward?
In short, repudiate the protocol. Just repudiate it. Under British law, we can do it. And in fact, he has an obligation to do it, Michael. You know, under the Act of Union 1800, all parts of the United Kingdom have to be treated equally. All citizens of the United Kingdom have to be treated equally. And the protocol also breaches the Belfast Agreement, which requires cross-community consent for any constitutional changes. There's been no cross-community consent. So the law, British law, is with the Prime Minister. And he may have mistakenly thought that the protocol would be interpreted by the EU in a particular way that is suitable for the United Kingdom, but it clearly isn't. It's clearly damaging. Whatever interpretation the EU is putting on the protocol, it's damaging for the UK. So we should now just repudiate it, and he can do it through domestic legislation.
Now, something I reported on this channel, Ben, which I find a bit peculiar, is that the EU have put a request in to the British government to extend the period by which they can ratify the deal. So it was originally supposed to be the end of February. That's now been pushed back, we hear, till the end of April, I believe. What do you make of that?
Well, I mean, it's fascinating. Apparently, they weren't able to translate it into all the languages required. I
find that, Ben, we've been in the European Parliament. The place is stacked full of interpreters. They've had the text for a while. That's just not washing with me. I'm sorry.
No, that doesn't wash with me either. It doesn't wash with me. You can easily get that done into 27 languages, even though it is a 1,249-page document or whatever it is. You can easily do it. I mean, so it might be that they're trying to use that as a stick to ensure that we comply with the Northern Ireland Protocol and implement it in full. But, you know, it's slightly chopping off their own nose to spite their face, because how is Macron and Merkel and all the others, how are they going to react to fishermen if they don't approve that deal? If they don't approve that deal, they've got no right to come into our waters. We can just boot them out. You know, they've got real issues if they don't approve that deal. German cars won't be able to come into the United Kingdom tariff-free the way they are at the moment. There's huge issues for them. The Trade and Cooperation Agreement is a good deal for the EU. So it would be them chopping off their nose to spite their face.
And what would you've spoken about it a bit before, what would you like to see the British government's approach be to the TCA moving forward with all that's going on?
I've always been a great believer in no deal with the EU. We voted to leave the EU. We should have exercised Article 50. Use the 2-year period to get ready for no deal, unilaterally get ready. I don't mean negotiate with them, and then just terminate the arrangements with them and leave. The idea that we can't exist commercially, sensibly, and prosperously without a trade deal with the EU is just garbage. It doesn't stand even the smallest of scrutinies. You know, we're the 5th largest economy in the world. We run a huge trade deficit with them. We could have done so much to get ready and actually make a virtue out of leaving them without a deal. There's so much more we could have done if we had left without a deal. I just don't understand the kind of collective lack of confidence of the political class in the United Kingdom, a lack of confidence that prohibited them from taking that action. That's what they should have done. They should have left the EU without a deal, having got us absolutely ready for it. And then we could have gone back and done a deal with them in the same way that we're trying to do a deal with the US or Australia or anyone else, you know.
But finally, Ben, given where we are, and given that we now hear rumours, perhaps by the time this video goes out, this would already happen. We're now hearing rumours the EU set to take legal action against the British government, against the UK, for having taken this unilateral action from Lord Frost. What do you see playing out over the next few weeks and months, Ben? And again, what do you think the British government's approach should be to this?
Well, I think the pressure on the British government is huge. You've got a demonstrable breakdown of trade between Great Britain and Northern Ireland. You've got litigation mounted by myself and all the main pro-unionist parties in Northern Ireland against the government. You've got the EU threatening the British government with litigation. The pressure on the government is vast over Northern Ireland right now. And the reason the pressure is vast is because the protocol is bad. And so what the Prime Minister and David Frost need to do is accept that. They can't turn their back on it. They need to embrace the fact that the protocol is bad, face up to it, and deal with it properly. And the way to deal with it properly is to pass domestic legislation to neuter the effects of the protocol and to hell with the EU. Face the consequences. We have to start standing up for the UK. We have to do it.
Strong words, great insight again from Ben Habib. Thanks so much for joining me, Ben, and we'll speak again soon.
Thanks, Michael.